Thank you, bud.
Good.
Oh, I got you actually right there.
And
This is me.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I can pass that
Oh,
right
this
over.
is me.
Yeah, sorry.
Okay, thank
Yeah.
you. All right. That's all right.
Cheers.
Where can we set this? It's easier up there.
Yes.
Okay, cheers, you on camera? Welcome.
Welcome. Can I cheers you on camera? Can I cheers you on camera?
Can I cheers you on camera?
So I thought I would be like Mr. Rogers today, and Mr. Rogers comes in and puts on his cardigan and his shoes. I'm gonna put on my
Earrings.
party earrings because this is the content we need.
It's the kind of fun we like to have here at the Groves household.
This is the content we need, and I'm gonna sing some really serious songs with some party earrings on. That's what I'm gonna do. I also stuck with so these are the sweatpants that I live in, and I stole them from Troy, and they make me look sporty. This is my all-time favorite shirt, and I like to call these now, thanks to Lindy Fabrini, I call them Easy Pants. So that was definitely the best feedback from our last session together. So, yeah.
I was about to give up, and that's no lie. Cardinal landed outside my window, threw his head back, sang a song so beautiful it made me cry. Took me back to a childhood tree full of birds and dreams. From this one place I can't see very far. In this one moment I'm square in the dark. These are the things I will trust in my heart. You can see something else, something else. I don't know what's making me so afraid. Tiny cloud over my head, heavy with gray and a hint of dread, and I don't like to feel this way. Take me back to a window seat with clouds beneath my feet. From this one place I can't see very far. In this one moment I'm square in the dark. These are the things I will trust in my heart. You can see something else, something else. Ooh.
I was really encouraged this week. So Maddie Reimer, my niece and our sole employee at the Art House, huge shout out to Maddie. So she works with us at Art House and is just, she raises the bar in everything we do. Her hospitality gifts, her gifts with like social media stuff, everything that we did with the Christmas record, all that fun video content and everything, that was all just Maddie was kind of spearheading the whole project, managing that whole thing. And then Forward Films did all the filming for it and some of the visual pieces, the cover and all of that. And so our friends at Forward Film kind of do all the that packaging stuff, but Maddie is the one who's always kind of helping me actually activate and get things out. And a friend of mine who has acted at times as friend and life coach said once that I tend to be kind of like a really like a large lake with a dam at a tiny little door. It's hard for me to kind of get things out, and I think that's why I am a writer of 3-minute songs, because it's maybe a capacity that I can work with that. I can get, maybe distill things down to this idea. So I need people in my life. And so Team Sarah, I wanted you to know who Team Sarah is. They're the ones who helped me get that whole lake full of ideas out to the world. And Team Sarah includes Erin Fabrini does road management for me. Allison Gaskins in Virginia does all of my any interface with listeners and with venues and that type of thing. So she's my front door, and she's a beautiful front door. And then Maddie Reimer is doing all kinds of things, but she's doing a lot of the social media and things. So she came up with the idea of putting together the Spotify list this week called Honey in the Rock. And it just was really neat to hear people, to read about different people. And like I said a couple of these ago, I've been writing the SS Anxiety for a while now. That whole journey is another story, maybe for another time, but I've been writing and processing that for a while. And I know a lot of us are experiencing just levels of anxious thought and things that we haven't had before. And so I loved Maddie's idea to put that together, and so wanted to give her credit for that. And so that's at Spotify. It's called Honey in the Rock. Maybe it's just under Sarah Groves. I don't know what you look for there, but yeah. So this has been super fun to go through different requests and things that you've had, and this one was requested from the way back. It's not actually that far back. It's from Invisible Empire, so that's not that long ago, but and it's a song about my faith and the way that I think about faith. And I'm going to wear these super party earrings and sing about it. The deep mysteries of God. But this was requested by my friend Cliff and Debbie, and Charlie Peacock said once that he is God haunted, and I would concur that I am God haunted. In my life's journey, I like to think about things, I like to read a lot, and I like to have a lot of input in things, but my faith is always kind of in front of me, and but I've come to realize that it's not something that I can kind of like, that I own. I say in the first line of this song, I can no more own it than I can own the road that I'm on. It's not, the metrics of it I think are different than sometimes we assign it. And so we have these success failure models for our faith. And I don't think the kingdom of God operates on those kinds of success failure models. And we have a lot of like meritocracy, where we do things right and that gets us these things. And if we do these things, then God does these things. And I always think it's pretty amazing that like when God is making this covenant with Abraham, he is asleep. And when God is giving Jacob the biggest blessing and promise of his life, he is asleep. And I think there's something to that there is obviously like, there's give and take in our faith. And there are all these, on one hand and on the other hand, all these tensions in our faith that we hold. But it's always kind of, it's a mystery. It's a mystery how this works. And it's always been to me, I'm always thinking of the other side of that. When I hear someone say something super declarative, I'm always thinking of that. Yeah, but on this side, we hear Jesus say this, and we hear this, so I'm getting off the track, but my point is there's a lot of mystery to it, and there are times in life like this one, I think, where trust just looks like leaning back into something very unknown, and in saying, I don't know where this is taking me. I don't know exactly where this is going, but I'm going to trust that this process will lead me home, will lead me back. And I think that's a process that we repeat many times in our lives, of like going out and coming back and going out and coming back. And so, and each time I hope wiser. Pastor Micah said that this week, that we come back hopefully wiser each time we return. This song's about that mystery, and sometimes I feel like I know that I'm working on a success failure model when I'm like, I literally feel exhausted from trying to kind of like bring God here in some way. And I have definitely kind of moved away from that, of like, that worship would be like this rain dance in a way of like, I'm going to try to bring you here. And instead, more waking up to the fact that he's already here and becoming aware of what's already happening and the realities of the world, which is God is present, he is with us. And having that time be less about like sort of, I'm going to work for it and mean it, and that's going to make you be bigger in my life, or versus I'm going to become more and more aware of how big you already are. Okay.
I see my faith before me, it's always there before me, and I can no more own it than I can own the road that I am on. And I don't know where it leads me, I don't know where it leads me. Peace and resurrection, suffering and dejection, I don't know. And my body is tired from trying to bring you here. And my brow is furrowed, trying to see this clear. So I'll turn my back to the black and fall, and wait for the mystery to rise up and meet me. There are as many takers as there are hearts to take it. There are so many fakers, I myself have faked it, I should know. And sometimes this has left me hoping in the darkness, hoping in the darkness I will come to you again. And my body is tired from trying to bring you here. And my brow is furrowed, trying
1 second. So that goes out to Cliff and Debbie. And this week I got a good conversation with Judy Haugen, and she helped me with some of that success failure model. We just had a great conversation about what Jesus is doing and how different he is, just how completely different he is than what we think and kind of the way we're wired. All right, this one actually got maybe the most votes when I asked for requests. And well, do I try this? I'll do that one first. Okay. Yeah. Sorry, my brain feels super super distracted this week. What am I doing? All right. I like these opening notes because this song was one of the first things that I started playing when I was partnering with IJM in 2005. I had just finished working on this record when I went to DC, and I heard the testimony of a young woman, and her story just, it changed. To say that it changed my life is not hyperbole. Sometimes you say that about like pizza and
Changed my life.
it just rocked my world.
Whoa.
Blew my mind.
Didn't know you could have that much cheese.
So, unlike that.
Unlike that.
Her story went out into that room, and it just, I just thought of all the hard things that she had faced, and here she was advocating for others, and how much more so would I want to advocate and be an advocate for people who, I felt this so strongly after I watched the movie about Harriet Tubman, but that people would say to another, that someone would say to another person, your one life that you have to live, it is forfeit. It is forfeit. It's mine. It's just absolutely unbearable. And I just want to be on the side of all the folks that are working to make that, to say, no way, that's not what's going to happen. And there are people all over the world doing that, and it inspires me a great deal. And so I heard her story, and I thought, I want to be playing music and things that are amplifying this kind of life, that is adding to the beauty, is entering into stories of darkness, and is just asking, what way can I bring light and life and the life of Christ. And so yeah.
We come with beautiful secrets. We come with purposes written on our hearts, written on our souls. We come to every new morning with possibilities only we
like 2000.
That one takes a lot of breath, and these days it's like I'm squeezing the last air out of an accordion.
A whoopee cushion.
A word of whoopee cushion.
And the whoopee cushion.
Yep, like I'm squeezing. You know that old saying.
Yeah, just the final breath.
Just like I'm squeezing the last air out of the whoopee cushion.
Yeah.
All right. I hope this has brightened your day, and
It's a book behind you. Over there.
oh, thank you, Troy.
What's going on back there?
What? What?
Well,
You
Troy,
wrote a book?
I did not write a book.
Oh.
I did contribute a chapter. It is the longest thing I've ever written in my life. Again, I'm really at home with a 3-minute song and not so much the longer pieces, but I've written articles for magazines and things like that, but and I have actually contributed portions to other books, but this was an honor to be invited into, and it was I won't say it was a joy because I had to wrestle with it quite a bit, and but I was asked to be in this book with a number of contributors, Tish Harrison Warren, Trillian Newell, Rudy Carrasco, Lecrae, many others, Claude Richard, Alexander Bishop Alexander, Kristen Dee Johnson, Tom Lynn, Shirley Hoekstra, Warren Kinghorn, and then Timothy Keller and Tim Keller and John Inazu were sort of assembling us. But the idea was to ask the question of what it looks like to live faithfully in these very divided times. And I was given the role of speaking from the viewpoint of a songwriter. And it says at the top of my chapter, the songwriter, and I would say I am a songwriter, but I tried to tap into what I have attempted to do, I guess, in the last, especially the last several years as a songwriter. I think that, well, you can read what I think. In Uncommon Common Ground out yesterday.
Tease us with a little opening.
Oh, Troy, I didn't prepare for this. All right.
How does it start?
The personally redemptive part of bearing witness to hard things and trying to tell the truth about them is that in turn this has rescued me. I had no idea how desperately I needed to move from a hereafter faith to an embodied gospel in bearing witness to broken places in myself and in my community. I have seen the restorative and reconciling work of Jesus, and that testimony has revived me in these days of cynicism and anger. That's one little part that I wrote.
The opening part with Ruby.
But, the opening part with Ruby, the opening story. I was recently with my 10-year-old daughter, so that was 2 years ago now, but for some mother-daughter time, as we were checking in with each other over pizza, I told her I'd been invited to contribute to a book about being a Christ follower in these days, and I wasn't quite sure how to go about that. These days, she said with a knowing laugh, which she did, do you know what you're allowed to write about? Have you asked what's appropriate? No, I don't think I have, I said. She sighed and put her hands on the table. We were at Punch Pizza, by the way, for the locals. Okay, she was ready to problem solve this with me. If you're going to talk about these days, you have to talk about technology, and you have to talk about President Trump. I mean, then she fell off. She shook her head for a while and said seriously, racism. You'll need to talk about racism. Long pause. Memes are a big deal, and slime. All my friends have slime. She thought some more. That's about all that's going on these days, but you better call these guys and find out what's appropriate.
Good.
All right.
Amen.
So that's from the opening story.
And slime.
Amen.
Amen to the slime, yeah.
Woo! So then the rest of the chapter is about memes and slime.
Yes, that's all.
All right.
Hey,
So.
your Grammy's watching.
Oh, my Grammy's watching. I wanted to shout out
My mom.
actually to my mom and dad and my sisters in Colorado Springs, Katie Sam, Evie Max Cora, Julie Mick in, where are they? They're in the mountains. How am I forgetting their town?
Kittredge.
No, not Kittredge. Well, anyway.
Are you talking in Colorado?
Julie.
Forest Green.
Conifer.
Conifer.
Yeah.
And Rocco and Jack and Mick. Okay.
Grammy.
And Grammy. I said
Yes,
Grammy. Good to not see you, but see you here. So I wrote this song this is the way back when that another friend Deanna requested.
Julie just said conifer in all caps.
Oh,
Sorry, Julie.
conifer.
You know that I know where you live. I just completely had a blank.
Brain whoopee cushion.
So I have this song is from Past the Wishing. Some of you might know that before I did sort of a national release, I did an independent album in '97, and I recorded it the summer of '97, and I had been reading a book from the Oprah Book Club. I love to read, and I love literary fiction. And it was called The Book of Ruth, and it's a really hard story, kind of written William Faulkner style, from inside the mind of a woman who has some mental disabilities and challenges, and she just had this incredibly hard life. And I put down the book, and it had literary fiction really gets to me. It teaches me in a way that nothing else can. And I can read a self-help book and just it won't move things around in here quite as much as a good novel. And so this story really had me I was young, teaching high school at this point, and pretty not naive, but just young. And but I'd read this story and had this perspective of the hardship that some people face incredibly hard things. And it just opened my eyes to Christian sort of like platitudes, and how hungry I was to put into the world things that didn't feel, I think there are things that are true. I think, like I say, things like that God is with us. I believe that. But there's a time and a place for everything, and I think there are times when we can say something really profound and true, and it really gets through. And there are other times when it can feel a little bit almost insensitive or tone deaf to what someone is facing, to what they're going through. And so you guys know all that. So I wrote this song. That's where this came from. I was writing to this woman, or from her perspective, or in thinking about her, that I would hope she would meet someone, if she met someone of faith, that they would not sort of give her that, kind of approach her from this one way, but would speak to her who she really is, see her imago Dei, her made in the image of God.
Dress down your pretty face, give me something real, leave out the being loud, and speak to me now, speak to my pain and confusion, speak through my fears and my pride, speak to the part of me that knows I'm something deep
Thank you guys. I wanted to give a last shout out to our Patreon community. I would not be doing this, not just right now because of COVID and all what we're doing, but even in the last couple years, I would not be doing this if it wasn't for our Patreon community. And some people have asked, I've had people mailing sweet things, a gift card to coffee shops and just some neat things reaching out. But we, on the Art House website, we have a way to donate what we do at Art House, and one way to be kind of come alongside what we're doing is Patreon. And there are right now 310 people in the world that are supporting us this way, and I wouldn't be able to do this, and I'm working right now on a new record. I wouldn't be able to do that if it wasn't for the Patreon community. So thank you guys for your support. And I thought for sure that it would drop off when this all happened, and it didn't drop off. In fact, I've gained new members, and so it means a lot to me that you've come alongside us that way. And I know you're hearing from a lot of different artists, and the thing I love about Patreon, and I'll just say this really quickly, but the model of like our social contract used to be that I made a record and I sold it, and that was like our social contract. And you've already heard, I'm sure, about how streaming changed that dynamic. You probably know all about that. And I do think one thing, a really special thing about it, is we're returning to this patronage idea. And I don't think you can support all the music you listen to. If you're streaming, you're listening to, everything is accessible. So we can't support everyone we're listening to. But it's kind of a new day, I think, of tuning into who are the core people, the core artists that you really resonate with, and looking them up. And that may not be me, that might be someone else, but finding that person that you really resonate. I want you making music. I want you in the world doing this. And so that's what the Patreon community has been to us. And
How do you find it?
It's been a great.
How do you find it?
How do you find it? At sarahgroves.com, no H on Sarah, or arthousenorth.com, and that's where you find all of our things. So yeah, okay, so thank you guys for everything and for tuning in, and it's a joy. I hope you have a great rest of your week and weekend.
Bye.